And we're back. We're back on the gas.
The gas.
Ryan Hughes, Big 49 Radio.
I just mixed up a fresh couple gallons of 32-1.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
32-1, yeah.
32-1.
Okay.
That's what you run on the 250 yards.
Yeah.
On the old.
Yeah.
Those of us old people like
let's
old
do that.
bikes.
Yeah, Maxima 927 with trick gas back in the
Nice.
day. Oh, my goodness.
Quality.
That was like Armani cologne or something.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Armani cologne. I'd actually wear that.
Yeah, I actually wear that when I go out.
Yeah, I'd wear that when I would go out.
A little spritzer on me.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why I kind of drove the show a little bit in this direction of old bikes and old dudes, because our good friends over at KTM, which we thought was going to be we thought they were going to be the motorcycle manufacturer of yesterday, because the bank was going to take over and repo them.
So somebody, I just read something like I think, was it Citibank or something? I think bought out the investors or whatever, took out 30%, and then they can. So what I read, they can start producing motorcycles again. So they don't even have the money to start even making motorcycles, right?
Yes. They freeze all the assets when you go into a bankruptcy.
Yeah. So they can't even make any motorcycles. So no new motorcycles are going to the dealers.
Yep.
That's crazy. So they're going to have to dig themselves out of a big hole.
Huge hole.
Now, the investors that took over, are they going to care if they're winning Supercrosses or anything like that? Or are they going to care that, 400,000 Indians in India are buying little KTMs?
There's two things I think that we're going to be looking at. Number one, I think we're going to be looking at the fact that it was an American company that bailed them out, or was one of the big bailout partners.
Citibank, I think, right?
Yep. And because it was an American company, and because of what I was mentioning at the very beginning of the show about the CAFE standards have been reduced, and that two strokes are now, and you're going to start seeing more and more gasoline-powered engines come back into the marketplace again.
Yep.
With that being said, our good friends over at, let's see here. Okay, so the Pierre company, I'm reading the... AEO Powersports put out a whole thing saying that the restructuring of KTM has been approved. And the creditors approved a plan of 2 billion pounds in claims recognized, with a 30% payout. That's where your Citibank thing came into play. And they have a $600 million obligation by May. So they've got to get things going by May. And they're going to start they're starting this off with 150 million secured to resume in mid-March to keep their 2,000 employees. So
they didn't even have the money to pay their employees.
They didn't even have the money to pay their employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I thought this Pierre guy was supposed to be like brilliant.
Yeah.
And he drove the company into the ground that you can't even pay your employees.
That is correct.
Wow, that's impressive. That building over off in Temecula probably needs to take off Pierre Mobility then.
Yeah, okay. That was a $53 million building.
I think that was a big dick swing from him.
Yeah. So it looks like our good friends over at AEO Powersports are going to continue having a race team because they were partnered with KTM.
Yep.
They were one of the... It's weird how they do these teams, by the way.
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, Star Yamaha. Okay? It's really the Star team. Yamaha is...
Just, yeah.
A little part
it's kind of like Aston Martin and all these things. You're like, Aston Martin, but you're getting... It's they're getting money from so many other sponsors, and so, it's put that name on it.
Yes.
But it's still, the money's coming from somewhere else. Yes, like say Star Yamaha. Yamaha does pay a big chunk.
Yes.
But they don't pay the whole budget.
No
way. Not even close.
They're not running the team. Star Racing is running the team.
Yeah.
So, it looks like, and by the way, there's a little drama in that. Our good friend Max Anstey.
Yeah, he threw what's his name under the bus, huh?
Yeah, had a little issue with Bobby.
I think he's so cool with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what I hear, who knows? I don't really talk to too many people, but I think with Bobby, if someone, he's kind of like Mitch. You can come at Mitch as long as you are have something to back it up with. That you're training, you're riding, you're this. He sees that effort. You come back at him, he's gonna be like, okay, cool. I want to see that.
Speaking of Mitch also made the news this last couple weeks.
Oh wow, I don't pay attention much.
Yeah, sold Pro Circuit.
Did he really?
He sold the race team. He sold the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh wow.
$93 million.
Oh holy shit.
Yeah. and it's a consortium.
So he doesn't have to. He probably has to work next week, right?
Yeah. So there's a consortium of guys. It's a group that bought it.
Bought it, really?
Yeah, and I believe some of them are former riders.
Okay.
That's why I brought this up. So big changes in the Supercross.
Former riders. I don't know how many riders can put in more than maybe a couple million.
I think it's like the Magic Johnson deal. Somebody. I'm not going to say it was Ricky Carmichael because it wasn't Ricky, but it was. Who was it? It was a couple former vet riders. They were kind of putting their name on it as partial owners, kind of like the Magic Johnson Dodger baseball thing.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give a little bit of like
some clout to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because knowing what you just mentioned, there's not too many riders out there that.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting because if Mitch doesn't have full reign of it, normally the team starts to go downhill because everybody's looking at if someone's going to invest in a company, buy that. Their thing is, I need to pad my pockets back. Yes. So they don't, that's the first thing. Mitch's first thing is winning, racing, competing. Money comes from that, cool. But when somebody else, it's like, it's changed. You get what I'm saying? So I guess as long as Mitch is still involved or still ahead of it, then it could still stay going. But if Mitch falls away, I feel that this team will start to suffer a little bit.
Yeah, well, another person in the industry, actually, I was talking to the other day, who wanted to remain nameless. I asked if I could quote him in his proposal, and he told me, and he's a vet like you, and he said, this could be the end of Supercross.
End of Supercross.
Yeah, I mean, he was very dramatic about it. He goes, this is the beginning of the end of Supercross.
And for what reason?
And his reply is that Kawasaki has been, and Mitch in particular, has been such a mainstay and a pillar of keeping that racing series going for so many years. And he's even been in situations where he's helped bankroll part of the series. With this new company come in, he doesn't have any faith that Kawasaki's involvement is going to be fulfilled because they were like one of those silent partners.
So it's
apparently
the end of Supercross for Kawasaki or for everything?
Well, he thinks it's the beginning of the end of everything, kind of what you were saying before, kind of dovetailing on what you were saying before with young kids aren't getting into the sport. Yeah. The sport's not growing anymore. Mitch sees the writing on the wall. Therefore, Mitch is going to get out while the getting's still good. Yeah. He's got his $93 million, big middle fingers, adios. And this particular person said, I think that this is the beginning of the end of Supercross.
I would say that you might see a little dip in it. Then you're going to see a company like, whatever the media group that bought Formula One, but MotoGP, maybe come in, swipe it up for a little bit cheaper, and then rebuild it, make it something. Because I don't see Supercross ever going away, and I don't know how much Kawasaki Pro Circuit have,
this person
their
was
hands in it, the hands in it to keep Supercross alive or to let it die.
This person was of your caliber. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as knowledge base and understanding of the industry. And this person said in the past, because they have had very close ties with Pro Circuit Kawasaki in the past.
So Kawasaki's kept it rolling?
They've helped in the past.
Bankrolled it a
they've
little bit,
bankrolled things where, in issues where Supercross has gotten financially a little bit in the...
How with Feld, how does it get a little bit, you know what I mean? You guys have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Apparently what has happened is they get into little budget constraints where all of a sudden you're relying on advertising dollars for this quarter, and then they're not there. And there's always a Mitch Payton who comes in and goes, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'll get it handled. And he has always he's been one of those really big, strong forces in the sport where he's helped both MX Sports and Feld.
Yeah.
In those.
So he probably, Mitch has probably seen the writing on the wall that numbers aren't going up, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Numbers aren't going up. So that's a sign of not too many people are getting into the sport. And, and then also possibly the insurance thing. We don't know what's going on with that. And if the insurance thing gets really funny and they don't allow people under 18 to ride motorcycles or something like that, well, then all these Pro Circuit, FMF, all these things just fucking die, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a massive part of the market is a younger generation buying pipes because it's all two-stroke stuff, right? two-stroke, this, that. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, he sold it for a reason.
Yeah.
He didn't sell it just because he didn't want to deal with it anymore. Maybe not, but who knows?
I mean, he wasn't exactly a spring chicken. I mean, Mitch wasn't a young guy.
He's done it for so many years. I don't know how he can go to every single race. I'm like, dude, there's no possible way.
He's one of those people that truly does love the sport.
Yeah.
And apparently, from what this person that I was kind of, eavesdropping in on was saying, was essentially, he's been kind of that backbone of the sport for so long and so strong in the sport that he feels that with Mitch stepping away as an owner of a team, and the other one that he mentioned in this conversation was JRG, I believe, who has moved all of their stuff now over to MotoGP.
Okay.
They've and NASCAR driving.
Yeah. I mean that's that they are full NASCAR anyways.
Yes.
And they had a team, but the team, made it, didn't make it. I don't know why they dropped out. But then, MotoGP, because, again, that media group bought MotoGP, so you're going to see that take another huge step. I think I was looking at the F1. They're talking about what F1 teams are worth, and the top team is Ferrari, I think $3.9 billion or something like that. They said there was a 200 and something % increase since, pretty much the Drive to Survive came out.
Okay.
In value of the teams. That's huge. And the only reason is because they got it out there for people to see it. That same thing is Supercross is so popular or so exciting, but it's still not seen. So if you could get it on Netflix, you can have a series like that, you would take it to a whole nother level. And I would imagine you're going to see MotoGP have the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just what it's kind of waiting for. Or, like I say, one of these big Dubai people to come in and say, you know what, I just had some money in my back pocket, and I'm going to buy this thing and do what I want with it, make it worldwide, right?
Okay. Like an FIM type thing.
Yeah, I think Supercross needs to go worldwide. It's time. It doesn't need to be just, if the Formula One drivers can fly to 21 different races around the world, well, the motocross guys can fly to 21 races around the world too. And it'd be kind of cool to have a 21 race series, but have it where it's mixed up. Supercross, maybe 2 in a row, and then motocross 2 in a row.
Outdoor.
Supercross, motocross, just so where you're always changing it up. An SMA, a hybrid at a super speedway.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know, just something to mix it up where if you're going to have 21 races like they do, or more, whatever it is, instead of just going Supercross, motocross, SMX, how about make a just menage a trois of it and just is different, because then you kind of throw wrenches in there and then it's exciting.
Yeah.
Just think if we had 2 Supercrosses, 3 Supercrosses in a row, and then boom, you had an outdoors. You'd be like, oh yeah, because it's completely different.
Yeah, it is.
Because we used to do that back in the day. We'd have 3, 4, 5 Supercrosses in a row, then we'd ride Gainesville.
Okay. Then
we'd have another month before we'd ride outdoors again. And it just threw such a wrench in the program, for us. And so, I don't know, because then the sport is popular enough to go global, right? If I was a big company, had a bunch of money or whatever, I'll buy Feld, I'll buy MXGP, right? And then I combine it all.
Okay.
Combine it all. So, I don't know. So the European riders, well, you better get good at Supercross. American riders, you better be good in the mud. Because we're going to start going to all these different places and make it a big, big, big thing. So because Formula One drives in the cities, they drive on, they drive
tracks
on tracks that have been there like Spa forever.
Yep.
They drive at night.
Yep.
They have night races and stuff like that. MotoGP has night races and different things, not in the city because you can't do that. But motocross, you could do that. You could have different things and bring some excitement to it, because again, after about 8 Supercrosses, you're like, okay. Well, you kind of know the 3-3-4, 4-3-1,
and
this and that.
I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to go into the last couple weeks of inside the world of Supercross.
Gotcha. You got your notes.
I got my notes. I wanted to go into a little bit of that next break because, yeah, you're right. There is some stale behavior going on right now.
Well, I think the staleness is just because people are hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because once Jet got out, you're like, shit, okay. It took a little bit of the anticipation to watch it go away. Then Hunter, okay,
Eli.
A little bit. Then Eli, shit, So now 2 of the big title contenders are gone, right?
Yeah.
You know, Jet or Hunter was in there a little bit. Prado could have been in there a little bit. But once you start getting these guys, now there's 4 guys that could keep those 2 guys, let's say Sexton and Webb, coming through the pack so easy.
Let's come back and talk
gotcha.
about this next break because there's so much to cover on this.
Gotcha.
All
right, I want to make sure that I'm rested.
Yeah.
You know,
so yeah.
Yeah, no arm pump and shit like that.
By the way, you just cleared Moto 2.
Gotcha. Okay. Moto 3 coming.